Hello, agentpreneurs, and welcome to today's episode of the Daily List Report. As always, we've got a great guest on. We've got Sean Carpenter. Sean was formerly the Director of Training and Develop for NRT Ohio. This guy's won a ton of awards. He's a very active speaker. He was previously named by Inman News as one of the top 100 most influential leaders in real estate. That's quite a designation. He's also named as one of the top 20 most influential people in social media for the real estate industry by the Swan Poll Report for the third year in a row. Received the Joseph McKinnon Award from the Columbus Realtors as their 2017 Instructor of the Year. I love this. Sean's mission is to, quote, teach with passion and enthusiasm, instilling confidence and excitement in his students. And I think that's really great. So Sean's going to come on and we're going to get to know all about him. He's going to tell us sort of what he's up to and sort of some of what he believes in, how he teaches and coaches agents. You're not going to want to miss this. While you're here, of course, please consider subscribing to the channel. Click the little bell so that you're notified you don't miss any episodes. I'm also going to pull up here real quick a website. So this is linked below, Sean Speaks. This gives a lot more information on Sean. You've got a couple videos here as well, so you can check out his background, and this is a great way to reach out. He's an active speaker, and I think after you hear today's discussion, you're definitely going to want to get in touch. So without further ado, let me bring Sean on. Sean, welcome to the Daily List Report.
Greetings. How are you today out in sunny Southern California?
Beautiful. We actually had fog this morning, which I'm very excited about because it has been crazy hot, like nonstop. So I like the fog.
Well, we've had rain. But fall is here. It's my favorite time of year in Central Ohio. The colors are changing. The leaves are falling. The temperature is getting crisp in the morning. So fun time of year to finish the year strong.
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. I'm excited about that. So, Sean, why don't we get started here, right? I love it when my guests take a couple minutes to sort of share their journey, share their story. You know, how did you get to where you are? So why don't we kick it off there?
I'll give you the fast background. Born in Billings, Montana, but my dad eventually got a job teaching at The Ohio State University. So I've been in Columbus, Ohio since I was a little boy. After graduation, I wanted to go to a school like Ohio State, but in the South because I hate winter. So I picked the University of Florida. After graduating from the University of Florida, I was a golf pro for a couple of years. I worked in the golf business in the club pro, not a tour level pro, but a club pro, a big resort course in Florida, and then a private club in Cleveland. Moved back to Columbus, Ohio after getting married and got a little closer to home and worked in the beer business, Randy. Worked for the Miller & Coors distributor here in town and called on all parts of the city, but eventually landed at the Ohio State campus was my territory. Now, if you're ever going to sell beer, pick a spot where there's 45,000 students, and that's a really good spot to sell beer. But as I started to think about my future, I thought to myself, what would be a career that would allow me to drink beer and play golf? So I got into real estate in 1998.
Great reasons.
Yeah, so I've been an agent. I was an agent for 4.5 years, and then I had an opportunity to become a branch manager. Managed an office for 2 years, and in that time, I loved the training and coaching part of the job. I hated the managing part of the job. I hated the P&L part of the job. I hated the business part of the job. So our company named me the Director of Agent Development for the Columbus and Cincinnati Coldwell Banker companies, and I did that for about 13 years. And in that time, I started speaking at events like the Coldwell Banker Generation Blue. It was called IBC at the time. I started speaking for the Columbus Realtors, the Ohio Realtors, and started just really enjoying being up on the stage, so to speak, in front of the room, helping agents grow their business. And I did that till 2016. And then in 2016, I made the decision to jump back into sales, start working with buyers and sellers again, and take my speaking on a little more of a national level. So that's when I opened up my company called Sean Speaks. And now I travel around the country and speak to agents virtually now and in person, hopefully in 2021.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're in person again, right? Yeah.
In person again. Yeah. No, I think we're all looking forward to that. That's for sure. So Sean, that's really fascinating. So you've seen all sides of this. You had me at Golf Pro. So I'm a lifelong golfer. So that speaks to me on a personal level.
Excellent.
So you got into the business. You've been doing a lot more speaking. Sean, I want to understand, and I want our agents out there to understand sort of, you know, what are the pillars that you speak from? In other words, you know, when you talk to agents, when you're talking to agents who have been in the business a long time or agents who are new, sort of what are you preaching, right? Like, what are the pillars of what you coach?
So when I was a new agent and I would watch the experienced agents in my office, you know, and when you're new, you're just kind of observing everything. And a lot of times you're hearing one side of a conversation in the office, you know, you're listening over a cubicle wall, you're watching people at sales meetings, you're seeing these top agents, at least people you think of as, wow, they have lots of listings and I see their names out on signs everywhere. And I really, you know, it's such a fast paced business. I said, how am I going to learn all this? And then what I really realized, Randy, that has since become my philosophy is I said, you know what, if you just do three things, if you build relationships, if you solve problems, and if you have fun, everything else takes care of itself. And so that became my mantra, it became my philosophy as an agent. It didn't change as a manager. It didn't change as the director of training. It certainly hasn't changed now back as a speaker, blogger, coach. Listen, if every day agents can be out there building relationships with people, either a new relationship with someone they've never met or deepen a relationship with someone that they've known for years, if they can be solving problems on a regular basis, whether they're real estate related problems or not, if you help people solve problems on a regular basis, when somebody has a real estate problem, they're going to raise their hand and say, hey, Carp, can you help me solve that problem? And if you can have fun doing it, well, that's just a good way to go through life. And so I literally feel that if I do those three things, the contracts, the closings, the commissions, that all take care of themselves. And so when I lay my head on the pillow at the end of the day, I try and fall asleep each night by saying, did I build relationships today? Did I solve problems today? And did I have fun today? And if I do yes to those three things, everything else is going to take care of itself. Whether it's virtually that we've been doing the last 6 months, I can still build relationships every day. I can still solve problems. I can still have fun every day, whether it's in person, whether it's, around the country, or whether it's right here in my hometown.
No, it's interesting. And I think, one of the things, Sean, that I think about is what opportunities have been created as a result of what's been going on the last 6 or 7 months. In other words, this show that I do here, right, I started this, right, when we went work from home, right, during kind of quarantine. And it has actually afforded me an opportunity to talk to people that I might not have spoken to or might have only had the chance to speak to if I had met them in person or gotten on an airplane. And so it's actually expanded my opportunities, and by extension, all of our agents out there, to get to meet people and, to your point, to build relationships. Has that been the case for you as well?
No doubt. I mean, that's why I think I've been such a fan of the social channels, because there's no better way for me to build relationships, solve problems, and have fun. I can go further and faster and freer to people around the globe than I could, like I said, if I got on a plane, got on a bus, or got in my car. I could have a conversation as soon as I'm done with you on the West Coast of the United States. I could jump on with my friend Peter Brewer in Australia, right? I could jump on with my friend Sam Ashdown over in England. I mean, I can have connections with people literally across the street and across the globe. And so I think, yes, it's fantastic. Now, you and I and the people that are in this space are having to learn how to adapt talking through a webcam, getting animated and making sure our sound's on and making sure our tech works. But that's the same thing if we were traveling to a convention hall. We'd have to make sure the sound's working and make sure the sound's on and make sure that we have a stage presence, so to speak. So yeah, it's just, call it pivot, call it adapting, call it whatever you want. All the buzzwords from 6 months ago. It's just a chance for me to get in front of people.
I think it's true. I think it's, Sean, I talk a lot on the show about mindset. I think mindset is everything personally, right? Because that's what puts you in a position to do certain things. And, it's ironic, right, that this kind of work from home quarantine period where I've spent more time at home than I have in my entire career is, in a sense, oddly liberating, right? Because of, in part because of the reasons that you stated, which is, funny anecdote, right? When you came on the line for the first time, I had just finished interviewing someone else, right? And the camera was still on and I kind of forgot, but it was this seamless little thing. And I'm glad I didn't do anything too embarrassing, right? But it is oddly and ironically liberating to be able to do all of these things from sort of the comfort of our home. And it allows us new opportunities that we didn't have before. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the great thing about real estate is it's different every day. The hard thing about real estate is it's different every day. So once you're in it for a while, you realize that I just got to kind of roll with the punches. The more I can create some systems, habits, and routines. And so once again, I just use those three pillars: build relationships, solve problems, and have fun. Because this is a relationship business, Randy. I mean, it's the blog post I wrote this morning, it's about relationships. It's not about the house. The house is just the widget that we work with. It's about the people that live in the house and the stories and their ups and downs. Because if you think about it, in a career of real estate, every transaction is built around a problem. There could be a good problem, right? Someone's getting married. Someone got a new job. Someone's having a baby. Or it could be a bad problem, right? Death, divorce, downsizing, foreclosure. But either way, when someone raises their hand and says, I need to find a house or I need to sell my house, it's because they have something going on in their life that's causing a change. And so we are the guide, I guess. And that's kind of an honor in my eyes to get to be that person that gets to help them through that transition from one place to the next, right? We think of them as transactions. That's how we count them in our business.
Yes.
But the consumer doesn't think of it as a transaction.
Yes, no, that's absolutely true. I just interviewed Jess Lenovel. She's up in Toronto, and she said something really interesting, and I'm curious to get you to react to this, Sean. She said, too many agents sell the airplane instead of the destination, right? So when you talk about, an airline, for example, they're not selling, waiting in line at security and then getting on the plane for 4 hours, right? They're selling the destination. I can't wait till I get to the beach, right? The cocktails, whatever it might be. And I thought that was an interesting thing. And I'm curious to get you to react to that notion that a lot of agents sell the process, the transaction, as opposed to really focusing on the destination in, as you said, your role as a guide. And I'm just curious to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I like the metaphor. I like the approach. When you think about it, let's take buyers, for instance. My job after I have a buyer counseling session with a buyer who has raised their hand or been referred to me and said, I want you to help me find a house. My guess is the referral didn't come because the person loves their 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 3,100 square foot house. They love the process. They love the journey of getting to the destination. So it's a little different that they're referring the guide in the journey, not necessarily the house at the end of the day. But I love Jess's thought that we've got to begin with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey says, right? We've got to say, all right, here's where you are today. Here's where you want to get to. I'm the professional that can help you get there because of my experience, my knowledge, my confidence, and my competence.
100% agreed with that. 100% agree with that, Sean. What's changed for you, right? What's changed in terms of your speaking and your coaching, this year? And if you think about the market that we're in, you think about in many parts of the country, we have low inventory, right? And in combination with sort of what's happening with stay at home, what's shifted, right? When an agent comes to you now and they're like, I'm not really sure what to do, right? I'm struggling right now. What's your best advice for them?
Well, a couple of things that you've said in that question and earlier. First is mindset, right? I'm a huge believer in mindset. I think you've got to choose your attitude each day. I literally challenge my audiences to change. When your alarm clock goes off tomorrow morning, ask yourself a question: is today going to be a great day or a great day? And if the answer is not a great day, then hit your snooze button. And in 9 more minutes, ask yourself again: is today going to be a great day? Because you need to choose that it's going to be a great day when you put your feet on the floor and bring that to the thing. The other thing is maybe just, once again, perspective, reframing, looking at things differently. You said it's a low inventory market. And for the most part around the country, around the globe, certainly North America, it is a low inventory market. But let's call it what it is. It's a fast market. The reason why inventory is low is because property is going off the market quickly, right? So that makes it a good thing, not necessarily inventory is low, I'll never find a place. We can frame it, Randy, to say, look, Mr. and Ms. Buyer, I want to prepare you for the market we're going into because it's very challenging, but there are lots of opportunities. And when you can explain to them that it's a fast-moving market, that's why we want to have you pre-approved. That's why we want to have you educated. That's why we want to have you ready to go.
Yes.
So we're gonna show you houses that fit your needs today. We're not going to just look around, right? We're ready to buy. It's the difference between walking to the mall with no intentions or walking in to get a black shirt for a party you're going to. You buzz right in, you find it, and you don't waste any time. And so I just think it's that mindset shift and it's that perspective to make sure people are beginning with the end in mind, as Jess and as you maybe said.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean, when you think about the role of the sort of the rise and the role of social, right? You got licensed back in 1998, right? You've had multiple roles in and out of the industry. When you think about social, how do you think about social, right? What role does that play? Does it play a role equally for all agents? Should every agent be involved in social? What's your perspective on that aspect of the business, whether it's lead generation or nurturing or relationship building, or to your point, having fun, right? All of these things are related.
Yeah, I think once again, you're trying to be the same person online as you are offline. Mm-hmm. My friend Peter Brewer from Australia, as I referenced earlier, he says, does your digital twin look just like you? Right? I mean, Randy, you and I are talking to a lot of people that we've never met in person. And hopefully when we get a chance to meet them on the other side of this COVID pandemic, someone's going to say, gosh, you're just like you were in our 30-minute conversation online. And many people are going to meet us in real life and connect to us online. And they say, wow, you're the same person. You're the same sports loving, beer drinking, humorous person. And so that's, I think, the first thing is being the same person online and offline. And second of all, understanding that it's a two-way medium, right? Social media came about when Web 2.0 came out, right? There was the web, right? Back when the web started, and it was all one way, go and look at a web page. And then it became Web 2.0, which meant two-way communication. There was a byplay. There was a communication between people. And so the social channels, the chat rooms, things like that were all about sharing and engaging with the other person.
Yeah.
I like to use an acronym when I teach people about Twitter, because sometimes people don't get Twitter. It's my favorite channel because of the fast pace of it, because of the variety of things on there. But I use an acronym. I say sometimes if you do less on Twitter, you actually do more on Twitter. The L stands for listen. Just start by listening to people. Just watch the feed go by and learn what people are talking about. The E stands for engage. Once you start getting comfortable with what people are saying, then you still feel comfortable engaging with people. Then once you start engaging, you can start sharing your own thoughts, right? And your own ideas, whether that's links or videos or comments. And then the last S is support. Because as you start growing your following on a social channel, if you can support other people by giving them advice, by sharing their information, whether it's retweets or sharing or things like that, sometimes you do less, you actually do more. And so it starts by listening before you talk. I think that's always the case. Most salespeople, in theory, think they want to talk first, and we should always listen first to determine, what is the best thing for us to talk about.
Yeah, no, I think it's absolutely true. One of the messages, Sean, that I preach, honestly, I feel like I preach a lot on the show. You said it again. And so for any agent listening right now who hasn't gotten this message, you need to get it, right? Which is an authenticity, right? You said a level of consistency between who you are as a person and what you put out there, right? I'm looking, I knew something about you, right or wrong, right, as soon as you jumped on the Zoom, right? I'm looking at your background and I asked you about, the Gators, and I see the drink beer up there, right? Like, unashamedly, you're like, this is who I am. These are some of the things that make up. And if you look around my office, I won't go through all these things, but I got a lot of stuff up on my walls that says something about who I am. And that level of authenticity is important. And I think that what a lot of agents mistake is that they're afraid to put themselves out there because they're afraid that somebody's not going to like them. And yet the reality is that not everybody's going to like you or who you are, right? And so it's critical that there be an acceptance of that, and that's okay. Not everybody's going to like who we are, but the right people might be attracted to us, and social is a way for them to validate that. Does that make sense? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think agents should be looking for everyone. Who's your ideal client? Anyone who can buy. That's the wrong approach, because when you look for everyone, you're looking for no one. And so if I had to describe my ideal client, beer drinking sports fan with a good sense of humor. That's who I'd love to work with.
Right.
Now, I'll work with you if you're a wine drinking, non-sports watching person that doesn't laugh. We just won't have near as much fun as a beer drinking sports fan with a good sense of humor. Why would I want to work with them? Because they're going to hang out with other beer drinking sports fans with a good sense of humor. See, it's about earning top of mind awareness is what I think, right? So when people think real estate, I want them to think me. But if I can get people, when they think of craft beer in Columbus, they think of Sean Carpenter. Or when they hear Tom Petty on the Heartbreakers on the radio and they think that's Carp's favorite band. Or when they see the Florida Gators on TV and they think me, the more chances I have to pop into people's minds, then all of a sudden, when something comes up and they think of me, there's a better chance they'll think of me when it comes to real estate, right?
It's so true, Sean. And I'll tell you, ever since, I mentioned this before, I grew up a golfer, right? I played, competitive golf as a junior, like that. I grew up around that world, and everybody knew me for that, right? Almost to the point where it was ridiculous. I'd get golf club shaped pens for Christmas, right? Whatever it was, but that's okay, because the point was that when people thought about golf, they thought about me. And that association, whatever that thing is, you're exactly right, is you need a reason and an opportunity to come to somebody's mind, right? And whether it's golf or beer or, Buckeyes or whatever, right? These things feed into also your role, Sean, in let's say your capacity as an agent, right? And that those are the connective tissues and the connectivity points that I think matter. So I love that. I think that
kind of creates your brand, right? Kind of creates your brand within the brand or the brokerage that you work for. I mean, I celebrated a birthday last week, Randy, and it's funny that I was telling my brother on the golf course this weekend, the theme of the messages, whether it was an email, a phone call, or a video text message, like I send to a lot of people. So I got a lot of video text messages back, almost as a reciprocal thing. But I can't tell you how many of them said, "Hey, Carp, hope you're having a great day, probably playing golf or drinking beer."
Yeah.
Like no one said, "I hope you're watching soap operas." And no one said, "I hope you're cleaning the house." They all said, "I hope you're drinking beer and playing golf," because that's kind of my brand. Yeah. And so once again, and that's how you win. Listen, Randy, if I'm an agent and you come in the gym and you say, "Hey, Carp, I saw your listing on Smith Street the other day," and I'm thinking, I don't have a listing on Smith Street. Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what? Mike in the office has a listing on Smith Street, but that means you drove past the listing. You saw the sign in the yard. Then you saw me at the gym. You put two and two together. The sign I just saw is the same company Sean works for. "Hey, Sean, I saw your listing the other day." Yeah. That's fantastic, because that means there's hundreds of people in my company. There's 8,000 people in our industry here in Columbus. But for that split second, when you saw that for sale sign, you thought of me. That's called earning top of mind awareness. And whether I do that through real estate, through my church, through my country club, through my sports, through my music I listen to, that's how you start, I think, winning the game of sales, right?
Yeah. I think that's 100% true. So what do you say, Sean, to an agent who is, let's just say, earlier on in their career or hasn't developed a well-defined brand? How do you help them get started? What's your advice to them?
First of all, think of what is their interests, right? What is their circle that they're probably going to run in? Who are the people they're going to have the most chance of being in front of to show their personality and their dedication, their confidence and competence? Once again, earning trust, I think, is so critical in this business that, everybody talks about know, like, and trust. Knowing and liking part's easy. The trusting part's really difficult. Yeah. Right? I mean, don't you have friends of yours that you know and you like, but you wouldn't trust when it comes to financial advice?
100%.
Don't you have friends that you know and like, but you wouldn't trust when it comes to parenting advice or whatever? Yeah, absolutely. So earning trust from people, I think, is critical. And it comes from confidence, competence, and consistency. So new agents, I just talk about the more you can show people that you're in the business. You're not just a hobbyist, right? Listen, one of the easiest marketing pieces to send out is like a just listed or a just sold card, right? And if you're only going to send out one of those, I'd send out a just sold card, because a just sold card shows that you got the job done. But here's a little tip I would say to a brand new agent when you get your first couple listings. First of all, you don't send those cards to the people around the property, because those people already know it's for sale. They see it every day when they drive to the office or to the school. But you want to send it to your sphere of influence, because you need to convince or prove to them that you have the chops. You're starting to have some success. But what I tell people is you do three things, Randy. If you were in my sphere of influence, you'd get a just listed card when I took my next listing. Picture of the house on it, right? The standard generic just listed card. Yeah. Then when it goes into contract, I'm going to send a just sold card with maybe a picture of the living room or the basement or the backyard. Then I'll send out a just closed card. So before you know it, you're going to get 3 cards from me when that property sells, right? Just listed, just sold, just closed. But 3 different photos, because you're not really paying attention. You're just a buddy of mine from school, but you're happy that Carp's doing well. Now you see me at the gym or at the country club, and a couple weeks from now, and you're like, "Hey, Carp, what's going on, man? I get your stuff all the time," right? 1 property, but 3 touches, top of mind. Yeah. Right. And so the little things like that I just think are not faking anything. Because I don't really like the fake it till you make it mantra. Yeah. Yeah. But I do like the showing people that you're actively engaged in the business.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And I think at the end of the day, Sean, your sort of third pillar, which is have fun, is what allows you to just continue to do this day after day. It also makes it natural and enjoyable, right? It's sort of the dream, right? To be able to, as you said, you're like, I wanted to play golf and drink beer, so I got into real estate, right? Like it's funny, but it's true, right? If you're able to sort of bring these things together and enjoy. And so I know a lot of agents who I don't think have very much fun. What do you say to an agent who is not having fun and as a result, I think probably not living up to their potential?
Yeah, there's a statement that I say when I was in the agent development role that I would teach on the first day, and that's this: live your life and let real estate happen in the cracks. I see way too many people that try and live real estate and fit their life in the cracks, and they end up kind of getting out of balance or failing at both. And so being active in your kids' schools and your grandkids' schools, being active in your churches and your charities and your neighborhoods, I think, guess what? You get business from those places. And so if you're not having fun in the business, maybe you're not a salesperson, but you could have fun in the business working as an admin or doing something in a branch office in a marketing department or in a relocation department, because you want to be part of the business, but maybe you don't want to be the frontline person, and that's okay, right? I mean, any great restaurant experience you had, it might have been because of the server, could have been because the sommelier picked a great bottle of wine, could have been because of the food, but could have been because of the cleanliness of the place. So the night crew that you never even see, but they're part of the experience as well, right?
That's right.
The restaurant metaphor is such a perfect example because you have the front of the house, right? The host, the maitre d', the servers, the bus boys and the runners and the managers. But then you have the back of the house, the kitchen, the sous chefs, the prep, the dishwashers, the cleaners. And all of that creates that memorable experience. And so I guess to that agent who's not having fun in the business, figure out, look, if you like the real estate business, find the part of it that you'd be good at, right? Maybe you get in the mortgage side, maybe you get in the title side, the home inspector side, maybe you get in as a processor or underwriter, but you're still a big piece of that home buying or home selling cycle that might not be frontline, but that's okay because some people don't need the spotlight. Some people don't need the name on the sign.
Yeah, 100% agreed. 100% agreed. That's tremendous advice. Sean, I think this is actually a great sort of introduction to a lot of really relevant topics. Is there anything else today that you want to talk about? I can't believe it's been 25 minutes already. Is there anything else that you want to touch on today? Any thoughts to leave our agentpreneurs with?
Yeah, why don't I share my prospecting approach to growing the business?
We'd love to hear that.
When I left the director of training role and jumped back into a sales role, I needed to start doing what I taught agents to do for 13 years, right? I think a lot of the metaphor, part of what we do as realtors is to be farmers, right? We have to farm. We have to put seeds in the ground to hopefully turn into a harvest, right? Whether it's tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. So when I went back into sales a few years ago, I needed to figure out a way to start putting seeds in the ground on a daily basis, both for my speaking business and for my real estate business. So Randy, what I created was what I call the 4-H Club. And every day pre-COVID, it was when I got in the office. So now I just come down to my home office in the basement. First thing I do 4 H's. The first H is I do handwritten notes. I send 5 handwritten notes to people in my sphere of influence, just a personal note, because we all know at the end of the day when we check our mailbox, if there's a handwritten note in there amongst the bills and the circulars, we're going to open the handwritten note first. It's going to make an impact. The second H is I do the hot sheet. I run the hot sheet for my town in the MLS. So I see what the newest listings are, the price changes, the in contracts, and the closings. I do that, number one, to keep myself up to date with what's on the market. But then as I go through it a second time, I think to myself, do I know anybody that lives within a couple block radius of that property? And if I do, I email them, text them, or call them about that property. Hey, Randy, just want to let you know the house around the corner just went into contract. Hey, Randy, just want to let you know there's a new listing in your neighborhood. Hey, Randy, just want to let you know the house, on the third cul-de-sac over just sold. The third H is I do my happy birthdays. So I jump onto Facebook and see which of my friends are having birthdays today, send them a message. And if they're close friends of mine, they're going to get a video text message, right? A little standout, a little different. And then the fourth H is what I call my high fives, Randy. And because I'm already on Facebook, I'm going to scroll over to my news feed and I'm going to like 5 people's posts. I'm going to comment on 5 people's posts. I'm going to jump over to Twitter and I'm going to comment or retweet on 5 people's tweets. I'm going to jump on Instagram and I'm going to comment on 5 people's posts or stories. And I'm going to send 5 random text messages to 5 different people on my phone. That could be a funny GIF, a picture, a meme, or just a message saying have an awesome day. And then once I've done that, once I put my seeds in the ground, that's when I go to get my morning Starbucks. That's my reward for putting seeds in the ground. So think about this. Before 9 o'clock in the morning, that's sometimes 45 touches.
Yeah.
Handwritten notes, let's say 3 touches on the hot sheet, 12 birthdays, and 25 touches. Agents do that 4-H Club day in and day out. I'm not saying you're going to get business tomorrow, but you're earning top of mind awareness. You're getting your name out there, and you're going to eventually, those seeds are going to turn into fruit next month, next year, or somewhere down the line. And so it's just a way for me to make sure, as busy as my day might get, I know I put seeds in the ground first.
I love that. I think that's a great approach. It's a great way to start the day. I love the idea that you tie it to a reward, which is your daily Starbucks. I think that's, and it's a habit. It's a routine, right? Like it probably is second nature to you now to do those things. You don't even really, in a sense, have to think about it. That doesn't mean you're not being thoughtful. It means that this is just part of what you do.
Yeah. And I can do it throughout the day, but it's nice to get it all done because then any other touches throughout the day are bonus touches.
That's right. That's right. And to your point before about, every day is different. And that's one of the challenges of real estate is that I think a best practice is to get these things out of the way in the morning because inevitably something's going to come out throughout the day that's going to derail your day, right? Some deal's going to go sideways. Someone's going to not sign some document. Whatever the things are, something's going to come up. So if you can get these things out of the way early, I think you're going to be in a better place.
Listen, either you control your schedule or somebody else does. And so the more you can control it in a business like real estate where it's different every day, the more consideration, fitness, exercise, coffee, water, they know that they're having success with that because they're making sure that happens first.
Absolutely. 100% agreed. Fantastic. That's great. Hey, Sean, I appreciate you taking the time to do this today. I think you shared a lot of tremendous advice. I can see why you've been awarded all of these great prestigious honors, right? I appreciate you sharing this perspective today with all of our agents out there.
Thank you.
Sean, would love to have you back on the show sometime in the future if you're interested. I'm sure there's a lot that we could continue to talk about.
We can do that. Hey, and in the meantime, just have your people out there listening, guys. Build relationships, solve problems, and have fun. Promise you'll have some success.
I love that. I love that. All right, Sean, we'll talk to you real soon. Thanks for joining today. All right. Well, there you have it. I think a great show. Really appreciate Sean coming on to talk about all of those things. You know, a lot of good ground covered there. I think a lot of things that are consistent, right, with what we've talked about, which is about, you know, authenticity in your brand, you know, building relationships and having fun, right? I love sort of his approach there. I like this 4-H approach. You know, definitely check out Sean and get more information on him. You know, it's all available here. Click that link below. And, you know, put this stuff into practice. You know, I think too many agents fall into the trap of not finding a routine that works for them, not finding sort of touches that are true to them. And I think that's a really important part of this process is, you know, Sean laid out a plan there that I think is a really important one, and I actually like his approach to that with the text messages and the retweets and things like that. But you'll find whatever version of that works for you. Knock it out early in the day, you know, get your reward, right, for completing that and build that into a habit. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Until tomorrow, be safe, be healthy, be happy, and have fun.